Hi guys, it's time for another book talk, and today I'm going to talk about Terry Pratchett's Dodger. Dodger is one of the last books that Terry Pratchett wrote, and he is one of my favorite authors on the entire planet in all of literature. He's absolutely one of my favorites. His writing's very clever. He has a lot of really subtle jokes. You could say that his humor is very British, but I think it still extends itself to the American sense of humor as well. If you like somebody who's a little bit sarcastic now and then, he is an excellent author to be reading. So, Dodger is about a street urchin in London who's 17 years old, and he has a lot of street smarts. He's not exactly a genius by any means, but he's somebody who's grown up living on the street. He's an orphan, and he is somebody who really knows his way around London and knows his way around the journey of life, the game of life. One of the things that I think is so great about this text is that it includes him, Dodger, meeting with Benjamin Disraeli, who's a calculating politician. He meets with Sweeney Todd, who's a fictional character who slits throats. You might remember Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. It was a movie that Johnny Depp was in a little while ago. It's also a musical. That's where it came from. He also meets with Charles Dickens. It's a great piece. I just want to read to you a small excerpt. This is right from the beginning. So, chapter 1, in which we meet our hero, and the hero meets an orphan of the storm and comes face to face with Mr. Charlie, a gentleman known as a bit of a scribbler. Okay, so Mr. Charlie, I'm just going to tell you, is Charles Dickens, and to be identified as a gentleman known as a bit of a scribbler, he's one of the most renowned writers in all of English literature. So it's kind of funny how he says that, and that's very much Terry Pratchett's sense of humor. Moving on. The rain poured down on London so hard that it seemed that it was dancing spray, every raindrop contending with its fellows for supremacy in the air and waiting to splash down. It was a deluge. The drains and sewers were overflowing, throwing up, regurgitating, as it were. The debris of muck, slime, and filth, the dead dogs, the dead rats, cats, and worse, bringing back up to the world of men all those things that they thought they had left behind them, jostling and gurgling and hurrying toward the overflowing and always hospitable River Thames, bursting its banks, bubbling and churning like some nameless soup boiling in a dreadful cauldron, the river itself gasping like a dying fish. But those in the know always said about the London rain, that, try as it might, it would never ever clean that noisome city, because all it did was show you another layer of dirt. And on this dirty night there were appropriately dirty deeds that not even the rain could wash away. A fancy two-horse coach wallowed its way along the street, some piece of metal stuck near an axle, causing it to be heralded by a scream. And indeed there was a scream, a human scream this time, as the coach door was flung open and a figure tumbled out into the gushing gutter, which tonight was doing the job of a fountain. Two other figures sprang from the coach, cursing in language that was as colorful as the night was dark, and even dirtier. In the downpour, fitfully lit by the lightning, the first figure tried to escape, but tripped, fell, and was leaped upon, with a cry that was almost to be heard in all the racket, but which was almost supernaturally counterpointed by the grinding of iron, as a drain cover nearby was pushed open to reveal a struggling and skinny young man who moved with the speed of a snake. "You let that girl alone!" he shouted. There was a curse in the dark, and one of the assailants fell backward, with his legs kicked from under him. The youth was no heavyweight, but somehow he was everywhere, throwing blows that were augmented by a pair of brass knuckles, always a helpmeet for the outnumbered. Outnumbered 1-2, as it were, the assailants took to their heels, while the youth followed, raining blows. But it was London, and it was raining, and it was dark, and they were dodging into alleys and side streets, frantically trying to catch up with their coach, so that he lost them, and the apparition from the depths of the sewers turned around and headed back to the stricken girl at greyhound speed. All right, so it begins with a little bit of intrigue. The boy who jumps out of the gutter and is chasing after these guys and punching at them is named Dodger, so the title of the book. This is really an incredible book. I don't recommend it if you aren't somebody who's into reading something that has mystery to it. And I will say that there is quite a bit of descriptive language. So if you're somebody who really likes something that's short and to the point, this probably isn't the book for you. But the language is really rich. You can get an idea from what I read here that the vocabulary is a little bit tricky. So if you're somebody who isn't into having to look up a lot of words, probably not the book for you. But if you do feel like your vocabulary is pretty strong, this might be a great one for you to check out. Again, I can't say enough about how much I love this text. So once again, that's Terry Pratchett, Dodger.